G'day. Welcome to the very first episode. Well, welcome to Magpie season, I should say. Welcome to the channel. It's your first time here. Welcome. Welcome to the Analytical Pie Podcast. This is the first episode of the podcast that I'll hopefully be doing, on a weekly basis going forward. But, I thought, why not try something new after some guys, some really inspiring guys in the footy media world. One of which is my very special guest today, the absolute legend, Swoop Luke, who I will introduce in a moment. These guys have been absolutely awesome in helping me, get this stuff underway and, hopefully giving you guys some content for the off-season and, coming into the, off-season draft and those sorts of things. Luke and I just want to have a look at that as well as, talk Collingwood in general. So it's a very exciting time. I will pull the great man in here, but for starters, if you're not and you're listening on YouTube, please do subscribe. Please do like the video if you can. Give it a share. Otherwise, this will be available to re-listen or re-watch on YouTube, as well as uploaded to podcasts on Spotify and hopefully Apple Podcasts too, once I sort that out. So I'll probably take care of that after the pod tonight. So I'll bring in the man. Welcome, Lachie.
Hey, yo, mate. Thank you for having me on.
Good. This man here, the enigmatic, the pioneer of Collingwood YouTube, the artist, the YouTube extraordinaire, my very, very special guest, mate. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving us your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the intro. You're making me blush.
Oh, mate, how can I not? For those that don't know Luke, you must be living under a rock, especially if you're a Collingwood supporter. The great man's done plenty of things on his, his Instagram. I'll let him speak about it a little bit later, as well as his YouTube. He's really changed the game in terms of the way people, get their media about sport and about Collingwood, especially. So, Lukey, the first thing I want to speak about, the first thing for today is actually about you. I want to focus a little bit about you. It is called the Analytical Pie Podcast, and we will speak about the pies. Don't you worry, but. Mate, tell us a little bit about yourself. What made you fall in love with the pies for starters? That's what I'd like to
know. Look, I didn't have a relationship with football like I think I've heard you have and a lot of other people where it's like, oh, my parents or my dad used to go to games and my grandfather used to go to games and like that. We weren't a footballing family. And I think it was just through primary school and through Auskick, just kind of getting into it. And it was actually my auntie that bought me my first jersey, I think, and took me to my first couple of games. And then after that, it was kind of, I was pretty young watching that. I was watching games at the MCG when, and I'm no good with names. I think it was at the Southern Stand that was getting rebuilt. So I was. Whatever stand was getting rebuilt, I was there when it was bulldozed and stuff, and that's like the earliest memory of Collingwood that I have, and the 02 and 03 grand finals as well. And then you kind of, when you get into high school, I kind of fell out of football a bit, but started picking up when you start hanging out with different people and stuff. And then the 2010 grand final happened, and and then the rest was history. So they say.
Yeah, mate, it's something that I definitely want to look into doing for every single guest that we have on, those early memories of the pies, where it all started, because the love that you have for Collingwood is unmatched. It's a love like I was exactly the same as you, to be honest. I fell out of love with footy big time in my mid-teens. I'd probably say 16, 17. Yep. And it's purely because I'd had too much of it. I was a bit the opposite of you, where, I was playing it, I was watching it every weekend, absorbing everything that was going on. And then, 2017, I remember, and I've spoken about it a few times, that season was just so bland, I guess is the best way to summarize it. And, I kind of fell out of love with the game. And, I'm not going to say I'm not a loyal fan, because I definitely am. But then 2018 happened and I was like back in it again. And then, as I got out of school and I started to look into things, and then COVID happened, and, that's how you and I met. We actually haven't met in person before.
No.
We started speaking on Twitter, and then, it's been great getting to know you and, getting involved in the Collingwood community that you yourself, you're the head of that. Like if you want to speak about it, you're at the top, man. And it's a great thing what you've done. It's pretty cool. Speaking of which, what made you want to start that Instagram account and, do all the YouTube stuff? Like, where did all that come from?
So so it started back in back the start of 2019. I had a lot of things to say and stuff like that, and I still do. I follow obviously the Premier League, and I follow Man City and stuff. And there's this YouTuber, esteemed company, and
Mm-hmm.
he still does like reviews and previews of the game and signings and stuff. And I thought, fuck, I go, how is there not something like this for any of the AFL clubs? And Blue Abroad, I think in 2019 Blue Abroad was there, so I think he might have been the only one that did it. So I thought, oh look, it's very niche, but I thought I've got so much that I want to give out, and my partner at the time didn't want a bar of it because she'd see me at my worst yelling at the screen and stuff like that. But and Dad and Nunnu would listen to me, but they wouldn't fully understand. But then I thought, fuck it. Even if I'm talking to myself on camera for 10 minutes, at least I'm getting it all out there. And it just kind of steamrolled from there. And I thought so in that first year, 2019, I thought, oh shit, I'm onto a winner here. We're going to get into a grand final. It's going to be a whole thing. But we know how that story goes.
Unfortunately, mate, that's footy, and I think it's really cool what you've done and what you've built. Like, as you said, it is a bit of a niche thing, and I as much as I hate to say it, and I hope he never sees this, Terry at Blue Abroad, I started watching his content as well a little while ago, and I thought, geez, why is no one else doing this? Like, it's such a cool thing, and my biggest thing with Collingwood, well, not with Collingwood, with AFL media in general, is you've got your big sources. You got your 7 AFLs, your Fox Footies, your radio stations, SEN, blah, 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 blah. But outside of that, there's no real content for people to consume. And I think that's where, guys like yourself come in, and the guys over at Blue Abroad who are doing amazing work as well. Pommy Hinoz is a great guy. I've been getting to know him a bit recently. It's just fun as well. Like,
it is.
And that's kind of what made me want to dive into it and think, why not give something a shot? For me personally, I go on walks all the time and stuff. And I'm always thinking, I'm listening to stuff about Arsenal because I'm a big, EPL guy as well. And that's why I got Twitter in the first place. I was literally like with 3 followers just tweeting absolute shit about Arsenal, like constantly the whole game. If you go through my Twitter,
and that's what it is.
And that's what it was. And that's how it started. And then one day I followed you on Instagram, and then I was like, oh, I wonder if he's got Twitter. So I jumped on, followed you on Twitter and a couple of other people. Then I started just tweeting, about Collingwood. And then over time, you meet so many great people that we haven't even met yet because of, the current climate or whatever. But gee whiz, has it been fun. And then, doing something like this is cool just to get on, have a chat about the Pies, and hopefully, we can have a good time for the rest of the night. 18 people in here watching live, which is amazing as well. We will go to one question in here. Square in the round has said, Luke, what is your favorite pastizzi?
I just go the ricotta. I can't do anything else. There's a nice pizza one, but that's very niche. But the ricotta pastizzi is the goat.
Is that a Maltese thing?
It's a Maltese thing. Oh,
yeah. What is it? What is a pastizzi?
It's like a so it's like a it's not a pastry. It's a savory thing where it kind of looks like a smaller croissant with ricotta inside.
Right.
So it's like really flaky. So you put it in the oven, really flaky, crunchy. You have it with a tea or something.
Nice.
And ricotta is pretty much the basic one. But then you have like pizzelli, which is just literally pea mashed peas, inside it. And I don't really like peas that much. But
fair.
hey, if we ever meet in person after this COVID thing's done, I'll bring some over and we can have a chat over some pastits.
Oh, mate, absolutely. And like, you gotta love the wog things. Like, I'm very Greek myself. I got the Greek side of the family, and that's another thing. Like, the immigrants that came over and stuff, they kind of just had to pick a team. Like, it's pretty cool. Like my family on my dad's side, my papu is my grandfather. He's a Hawthorn supporter. They're all massive Hawthorn. Then one of my uncles is Richmond. The other one's Hawthorn, and then my dad just randomly picked Collingwood out of nowhere, and then the rest is history. Like, on my mum's side, I've said it before as well on one of the streams. I think we have 20 or 20 cousins on that side, and they're all Carlton supporters.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
mate, it's an absolute
Crazy.
madness. You can imagine whenever there was a birthday that clashed with a Collingwood Carlton game, it was mayhem. Like, just no one speaks to each other.
Oh, I see it too. I see it on my side as well.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I love speaking about you, and we'll get some more questions. They're flying through. But let's move on a little bit to the Pies. And speaking about the Pies, speaking about who comes in, who comes out. Obviously, we've got the trade period coming up.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? Who would you like to see come in, and who would you like to see leave?
So, look, it's a bit of a testy one, just because you don't know. Like with Buckley, I guess we kind of knew what his game style was and how he was preparing the players and getting him playing, different positions and stuff like that. And then Robert Harvey kind of spun the wheel a different way, if you will. And now McRae's going to do it again. And I saw on Twitter just before I jumped on, Beat Gordon. He was like, from wanting to delist Rusco at halfway through the year to now signing a 2-year contract extension. And that's just one thing. Like, McRae could just turn some of these players that we don't think are any good into who knows what. But that's a long-winded answer. But coming in,
no, absolutely.
We got Lipinski coming in, so that's pretty much a definite.
Exciting that one, isn't it?
The wing. Yeah, very exciting. And I know
I'm very happy about that one.
You froth his highlights. He's got very. Yep. He looks very good. He looks too good for VFL almost.
Speaking of which, we'll bring up the stats that popped up today. You probably saw them. His VFL numbers in 2021. He played, I think, 4 or 5 games. He averaged 35.3 disposals, 13.5 contested possessions, which is what we need, that in and under midfielder.
Yep. 7
clearances and 1.3 goals.
Yeah, too ridiculous. Good for the VFL.
Absolutely.
And you can't crack into the Bulldogs midfield, So
no, exactly.
And Bulldogs offering him 3 years just shows that they really, really want him. So that's good for us. Kruger as well. Look, I don't see the names that have been mentioned, like Lipinski, Kruger. I don't see us really signing anyone else. I think it's all about draft picks, obviously, and the Dacos thing and that whole narrative that's been going on for 2 years. But look, going out, we know that Tohill's gone, a couple of retirements. I think Sire Lynch Cox will be gone, but I don't think we'll see big movements unless someone wants more opportunity, like maybe a Nathan Murphy or a Rule Hoskin Elliott isn't in our best 23 or something like that.
I think it's, as you said with McRae, it's really exciting because, as you said, there's that unknown. There's that real unknown. We don't know who's he going to like, who's he going to not like. And I speak to a lot of people in the Richmond side of things, and my missus's dad actually is a massive Richmond supporter, and he always speaks about a lot of things that go on behind the scenes and those types of things. And McRae, when he came in, one of the things he was credited for was building those relationships between the VFL squad and the AFL squad. So really, the way we look at things now probably is, you got your VFL squad, you got your AFL squad. It's all about making it one, if that makes sense. You're all one group. And that's why I think the thing that's been touted recently about, having medals for players that, play 5 to 10 games of the season is actually kind of important, because it's all about the squad. It's a season, not just one game.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I genuinely believe we're going to see some things that we may not expect. But more than anything, I'm hoping that McRae just plays players where they want to be played, rather than, the square pegs, round holes thing, because that's something that really used to frustrate me with Bucks.
Oh, yeah, you and me and every man, woman, and child under the sun. It's just like, you think of the Josh Dacos was a good example, playing him
absolutely,
playing him in the forward line when he did his best work on the wing. Tom Phillips got pushed out of the team because he was just played out of position, and like the Brown brothers, and it just, the list goes on. And I think that was one of Buckley's greatest downfalls, is that he just for lack of a more sophisticated way of saying it, he just didn't play the players where they needed to be played.
And the one that strikes me, who gets a lot of criticism, I love him, Will Hoskin-Elliott. We saw him move to the wing this year, and it took him a while to get there. And that's probably why he copped it a bit, because he couldn't really adjust his game to sort of, really make the most out of himself. I think we look at Bailey Fritsch, who's just had an unbelievable season. They're very, very similar players, I think, in my opinion. I'd love to see him put back in the forward line. I think he'd be an absolute killer because he's got ridiculous leg speed and he doesn't miss. That's why I like him.
And he can leap as well. He's a good mark as well off the ball.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think Lipinski, we're probably looking at a third rounder. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
I think that's good.
I don't. If it's not a third rounder this season, it'll definitely be next season. But I feel like it'll be something like a pick and Lipinski and a player, and then we give a pick and a future third or something. I think there's going to be a little bit of I don't know if this is the right word. It's going to be a little bit of amnesty between us, with what we did with Treloar and paying $300,000 of his salary, and I think the doggies are going to kind of, hopefully, but who knows how clubs work? If they want to help out other clubs or if it's just greed and it's all for them. You know what I mean?
It's like, why give one of your good players to a competitor, right?
Exactly.
Why do that? And you see it more so in the Premier League and stuff in soccer. Rarely will teams ship players between your Chelseas, your Uniteds, your Arsenals, etc. Yeah. It just doesn't happen. I think it's kind of similar. Carlson chucked in a comment which I think is good to bring up. Lipper, is he better as an inside mid or as a wing? What do you think?
I think our wings are pretty stacked at the moment. If you have Poulter on one wing, Dacos on the other, and then I know at the start of the season they played Tyler Brown off a wing as well. But Lipinski, he has played on the wing. As it, like you said, what was it, like 13 in and under disposals, something like that?
Yeah, 13.5 contested possessions.
Yeah, so we don't have a lot of players like that. We've got Taylor Adams, which is cool. Brayden Maynard could do it, but we're not going to chuck him in the midfield. But yeah, he could be an in and under player, and something that we've been kind of crying out for. Like Braden Sire did it really well in 2018. Rupert Wills kind of did it well as well, I think, in 2019, where they just reckless get in there, get the ball to Treloar or Adam, someone to run it quickly out, because you don't want to put your delicate players in there when they should be on the receiving end. So maybe that is what Lipinski's there for, a shoveler almost.
Absolutely. And in recent times as well, Adams has missed quite a bit of footy, which concerns me a little bit. Hopefully he can get his body right, over the off season. But if he goes down, you don't really have anyone else. Because Sai is very injury prone as well. Yeah,
and we saw that in the stats. I think he might have been out for 4 or 5 weeks at the time, but he was still leading. I don't know if he was leading contested possessions for us or clearances for us. Something big that, him being out for 4 or 5 weeks at the time and still leading clearances or whatever it was, just shows how important of a player he is. And yeah, you're right. If he goes down, there's just no one who can replace him.
Yeah, and the thing I like about Lipinski as well, going back to him, is his use is very, very good. When he gets the ball, he seems quite composed. He seems calm. He's developed. He's not a young guy coming in.
Yep.
We need good delivery. I think that's what that was our Achilles heel last season, maybe even the season before, was our forward 50 delivery. We just couldn't get it right. It didn't matter who played, who had the ball. Hopefully that's something that the coaches couldn't look into. But what are your thoughts on the coaching, appointments? How exciting is that? I watched your video, obviously, on it recently, speaking about who the players are. Oh, sorry, who the coaches are. And if you haven't seen that, definitely go check that out, because it is a great video. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so we've talked at lengths about McRae and you bring up kicking, and I remember a couple of weeks ago Jack Rewalt was on. He was interviewing Craig McRae on AFL 360, and Rewalt said that McRae is a monster left foot kick, and at a testament where he went a day a week to teach the Melbourne Storm how to kick. So it looks like something that we've been lacking, you're right, for the last couple of years is inside 50 entries because we just can't hit a target. And McRae could change the game with that. Lepic, we've talked about Lepic heaps. Him coming in is just huge. And not only as a defensive coach, but as that head of strategy and stuff like that. I think, you got to look at it as, and I've said it a couple of times, we're kind of assembling the Avengers of coaching. And I know, McRae is an untried senior coach, and you don't really know how they're going to go until they're a couple of weeks into the job. But when, when between Lepic, Bolton, and McRae, they've got 3, 6, they've almost got 9 premierships surrounding them. And look, if you look at Bolton and you go, okay, coach at Carlton and he failed. But before that, he was assistant coach at Hawthorn for their three premierships. And then he went back to Hawthorn as a director of coaching. So Clarkson really rates him. And senior coaching isn't for everyone. So
exactly.
I just think they're insanely good appointments.
Do you think Kruger will be in our best 22 next year? Do you think he comes in and really, gets a spot in there? Because that forward line now, if you look at it, I think Ash Johnson's going to be in our best 22 next year. I will speak about that a little bit later, about the actual best 22. I think, Darcy Cameron's got a spot right now, although I don't think he's the option for the future. And obviously we've got Brady Mychek, who's not going anywhere. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think he's far away? Is he worth, really investing in? I don't know.
It's hard because, like, Kruger can play back and forward, but he was recruited as a mature-aged forward to Geelong. But you're right, we haven't seen Ash Johnson, and he can be absolutely phenomenal. Watching his highlights and stuff like that. But you're right, Darcy Cameron, and then Mychek. If Kruger takes anyone's spot, it'll be Cameron's spot. I don't think Mychek comes out of that team, but who gets? It's all about who gets the best 2 defenders of the other team. Are they going to go to a Checkers, and are they going to go to a Kruger and then leave Johnson? Because you want, like we know, we want a balance of talls and smalls. So can you play Kruger, Johnson, and Checkers in the same team? They're all over 190 odd centimeters.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's the thing, though, with Checkers and Johnson. The way I look at it is they're both at about that 193 mark. Darcy Cameron's at about 202 centimeters, I think. So, he's quite a bit taller. We're lacking that tall, like that Tom Lynch or that Jack Rewalt, even, that's around 196 centimeters. So I think that's where Kruger comes in. Like that's his niche. He's athletic enough to, run around a bit like Travis Cloke. Like, watching his highlights, I saw Cloke in his game. He's a left footer, which sells me. I love left footers. Something about him. And, he seems quite mobile for his size. So I'm hoping he can come in and do a bit of a job. And at the end of the day, we are in a rebuild. Like, we don't want it to be a long time. We don't want to be like, old mate Carlton stuck in there for 25 years. I don't think that's what we're looking at. But, I'm all for trying these young guys and getting them in, giving them games. Begg's there. McMahon's there in the 2s, who I really liked. Will Kelly's there. We got
I forgot about
a lot
Will
of
Kelly.
I know. A comment just reminded me, like, we got a lot of young talls coming through, and a couple of years ago we had none.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something there to look at. And talking about outs, now, who do you think goes? Like, I think it's Cox has to go.
Oh, yeah. I don't see Cox in a Collingwood jersey next season. There's talks that Brisbane have asked the question. Look, Cox, it's just like we said, that it's just that game plan of and they're not being able to hit a target, because Cox should have been a 40-goal forward because he can kick the ball and he can take a mark. But it's like the guys were overcompensating for his height and kicking it higher to him.
Yeah.
It was just, he was a product of a bad game plan. That's what
Yeah.
it was. And watch, he'll go to Brisbane, who already have a bunch of tools. And I don't know if someone said it in Instagram or on Twitter, where they know how to hit a tall target, and he could be a 40 goal if
Oh,
playing.
absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
Hipwood's not in Hipwood's done his ACL or whatever it is, so he's not going to be in there for most of the season. They need another tall, and he could absolutely monster the competition there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, mate. And the way I look at Cox is he was the experiment, and unfortunately, some experiments fail. But this time, the experiment failed because of the scientist. The guy that was in control. That's the way I look at it. Bucks just didn't quite know how to use him. When he did know, look at West Coast last year. In the final, in that first quarter where he just tore him apart. The prelim obviously is the one that comes to mind in 2018.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like there's a player in there. Don't get me wrong, but I think the experiment's over. And I'm trying to think of some other guys that might be on the way out. Sai's been floated around, but looks like he might stay. Max Lynch, Josh Thomas. What do you think?
I think Lynch will go because there's with Begg, Cameron, and Grundy, there's just wouldn't be any opportunity for him. And like there was a bit of opportunity at the end of the year to kind of maybe drop Cameron and see if a Grundy Lynch combination can work, but they just didn't want to. So I think he's on his way out. Maybe a Western Bulldogs or a Hawthorn or a Giants or something like that. Josh Thomas is I don't know if he's a restricted free agent or he is just an unrestricted free agent. So we won't even get any draft picks out of him because he's 31 years old, so you don't get any comp. But if I was Josh Thomas, I'd probably head off to a Gold Coast because he's from Brisbane anyway, or from Queensland anyway.
Try and get one more payday, I reckon.
Yeah, and fuck, wouldn't you want to retire on the Gold Coast as opposed to?
Oh yeah.
Cold, dreary Melbourne.
Oh, I know I would. I definitely would. Like with the weather we've got for the next week, geez,
Tell me about it.
Oh, mate, don't even. Dacos as well, sliding to pick number 3. That could be huge for us. I think that would be great. And as much as we want to have the number 1 pick, I'm all for it. I want Nick Dacos to be the one that's, competing with Sam Walsh for the next 10, 15 years, whatever it may be. But if he slides to pick 3, I'll take it. I'm not upset about it.
Yeah, and look, you got to look at that. Well, I look at that in a lot of ways because as you know, I'm very vocal on Twitter and stuff. But how I look at it is, yeah, you kind of want him. You want him to go number 1 draft pick, like Jamara went last year when he got bid on. So it kind of comes back to our chat about will the Kangaroos and the Giants do us a favor and not bid on him? Why would you not? He is the best kid in the draft from all the kids, right? Why would you not? If I'm the Kangaroos and I'm going and I'm not going to bid on the best kid in the draft because I want to get my own number 1 pick. Big deal. It's literally just numbers, yeah? Wouldn't you want to make your rivals who finished just 1 above you, who had pretty much the same season, wouldn't you want to make them pay the maximum amount of points than letting him drop a little bit to a pick 3 where we just have the picks anyway? And he just walks to us without us having to sweat on it. I don't know. I don't think. Look, I'd love to go for him. I'd love for him to go a pick 3, but I don't think the Giants or the Kangaroos are going to do us a favor because they're not obliged to. Why would they?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I'd love to see it, but all this is what annoys me, about media and AFL media and whatnot. The amount of panic that everyone else has seen over Dacos. How many times? Let me ask you this: how many times have people asked you, "Is Nick Dacos coming to Collingwood?" Even after it was confirmed.
I got one yesterday in my DMs. So is there any way we can bottle Dacos? No, bro. He literally signed a 4-year contract. He's coming to us. He's coming to us. It's crazy that it's and that's the thing. we only see what the media's showing us. Oh, they've only got 4 picks. They haven't got enough draft points. Well, yeah, there's live drafting on the day. There's
Exactly.
it's not as dire as people on Twitter make it out to be. We're gonna get him, and yeah, I am sick and tired of comments saying that we're not, because he's literally signed a 4-year contract.
You heard it here first. Hopefully for the last time on the Analytical Pie Podcast, Nick Dacos, for the final time, from Swoop Luke, from myself, is coming to Collingwood. 4 years. Lock it in. That is it. Enough of that question.
Please stop asking me. Jesus Christ.
I'm done. I'm done with it. I want to hear something. Oh, I hope this makes you laugh, because it absolutely made me laugh. Just to show as well about all the media stuff. Someone posted on Twitter today, Aaron, he's a great guy. Spoke to him a little bit last week about, Gary Ablett and Dusty Martin and all that GOAT debate, which I'm not even going to go into.
Yep, I know.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy.
Dude. Yep, good dude.
He posted today on Twitter, I've heard it from a very reliable source that Scott Pendlebury will play for Richmond next season. The deal will involve multiple picks for the start as Collingwood looks to the future. They're offering up picks 26, 28, 40 and 44 to seal the deal in exchange for pick 15. And I'm like, you wouldn't believe, I don't know if you saw it, the amount of people that bid on that. Like, people were going bananas thinking, just for the pure reason that he said it's a reliable source. And honestly, I retweeted it and, put the mind blown emoji, because I was like, oh, there's no way this is happening, blah, blah, blah. The amount of people that were like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe this is happening, blah, blah, blah. It was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
And that's the thing. Like, and you see, you've seen it firsthand. All the anonymous accounts that pop up throughout the year, and I've heard from this, I've heard it from that, I've heard from this. And I kind of did a thing last year as well, during the trade period, where, I don't know, it was just really boring for a period of time. So I thought, stuff it. I want to try and get onto one of these media sites by posting a photo of Buddy Franklin in the Collingwood jersey and saying that he's off to Collingwood for the 2021 season. And my DMs were going nuts, and it was just crazy how just a rumor like that, not even a rumor, because it's not a rumor, just something made up, can just blow up. And you're right. And that's exactly why we're here. You're here, me, Blue Abroad, Almost Hughes Brothers, Pommy and Oz, all those guys, because we're not going to bite into that. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And yeah, that's exactly what we're here for. We're mediators almost to the media.
Almost. I think I'm getting there. You guys are well and truly ahead of me, but no more fake news. All right. No more fake news. Speaking of which, the stuff that you did this season, with Paula Curia, with Taylor Adams, all that stuff. The guys at Pie Hard Podcast, who I absolutely love, did a podcast with Liquor as well, and with Luke Ball. If you haven't seen that, guys, please do check it out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever you've got. This stuff, for members like me, supporters like me, before I was really in the space, completely changed my outlook on things, because I had no perspective of what was going on behind the scenes. It's only what I was told. Yep. Then you guys come out and say, okay, we'll give you a forum. Here, ask these guys whatever you want to ask them. We'll ask them some questions, blah, blah, blah. You realize these guys are just normal people, right? And it's not anywhere near as bad as it looks. And like, it's amazing what you guys did like this year. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, and I think, well, firstly, thank you for that. But secondly, it's like they, like Paul Curie and stuff like that, and all these sort of board members or whoever from any club, doesn't have to be Curie or whatever, but they don't have this sort of this fan reach, in the sense that, look, let's ask the hard question. It's just whatever the Herald Sun wants to ask him, they'll ask. And that's why when I had Paula Curia on, I wasn't I wasn't going to just do me and him talking, because then it's like, okay, but you didn't ask him this question. I was like, okay, you want to ask him what went on with the salary cap? Come on and ask him yourself. Then like, oh no, I don't think I will. So you know what? So you got to give these fans that and you said it first. You when you spoke to him, you kind of changed your mind on the EGM and stuff like that. And I just want to give people the opportunity. When do you have the opportunity to talk to Taylor Adams, ask him a question, ask him how he's going? So,
Exactly.
yeah. So I just want to look, and I've always said it. I've always said it where my whole platform isn't one. It started off in selfishly because I just wanted to talk about football, but it's grown into something more than that. It's grown into like a place where people can talk about football, and it's not for me anymore. It's not like I'm not making money off this, or I'm not getting any sort of kickbacks from ads or anything like that. It's just I just want people to experience another side of football where they haven't before. Like, when do you talk to a vice president? When do you have a face chat with him?
Mate, and if you haven't seen the video with Liquor and you're a Pies fan or a fan of any club and you want to see, what it's like speaking to a VP, check out Luke's video with Liquor. I spoke to him on there, and me, I was like a kid on Christmas. Like that was, I remember that day, you messaged me about it, said, I'd love you to jump on, blah, blah, blah. I was like a kid on Christmas, man. I was bouncing around. I was so happy. I told my whole family, I was like, I'm going to speak to Paul Licuria. Can you believe it? And, getting on and speaking to him, I remember how nervous I was. I was actually wearing, the Yakka t-shirt, the Pies t-shirt. And I was sweating. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And then, a couple minutes in, I was like, this is just a normal chat. Like, this guy's a really, really cool guy. And, the way I look at your channel is, and the other guys as well, it's for the fans, by the fans.
Yep.
It's not mediated. It's not, you can only do this, you can only do this. You do your squawks. People can come on, say whatever they want. It's not like, if you don't like a player, okay, you don't like a player. That's cool.
Yeah.
If you love a player, you can love a player. We all disagree. Sometimes we agree to disagree. And it's just so refreshing. And it's so much fun. Like, I don't know how else to summarize it, man. Like, it's an exciting time, and going into next year, hopefully, doing the podcast, doing those types of things, will be, flying.
Yeah,
awesome.
I hope to and that's all it is. It's just a fun sort of side of football. Like, at the moment, I'm working on a video. Like, if I told you, and anyone in the comments as well, because I didn't know this until I started researching for this video, the EW Copeland Trophy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who it was named after?
I actually don't.
EW Copeland.
That hurts me because I was literally going to look it up yesterday. Like, we got the email, we got the membership email, and I was sitting there thinking, why don't I know this? Like, I feel like this is something I really should know.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same. Like, this bastard must be a 6-time premiership player or something. And you look it up, and he was a secretary for the club from 1898 to 1924 or something like that. And he made Collingwood what it is today, in the sense that without him, we wouldn't have a football club. So these are the little things that we kind of don't know, and it's the kind of things that the club, you can go and check it out. It's all on the club's website and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just something that, like, it's just a little bit of fun and stuff that we can promote. And yeah, just like you said, it's just all fun. It's for the fans, by the fans, for the fans, or whatever you said. It was good.
Exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. And dude, like, just thinking about it, there's so many things that I, and maybe you still don't know about the club. And I'm still 100%. Learning. I'm still learning every single day. Like, you just want to naturally, doing things like this, you naturally want to get more involved.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm going to be watching the Copeland on Friday night. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I did love about Eddie Maguire. He knew everything about Collingwood. Like, I reckon you could go and ask him who was the Copeland winner in, 1984, and he'd be like, yeah, bang, 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 it was this guy.
Yeah.
He was exceptional with those types of things. And, I was watching some old speeches from a while ago at Copeland nights. I think it was still side bottom. And, he was getting everyone to sing the song after. And I was thinking, Eddie, that is so cringe, but it's so Collingwood, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Moving on, speaking about, EGMs, Paul Curia, those types of things. What are your thoughts on how the boards all come together, how it's situated? Obviously, we've got the AGM coming up in December. Peter Galbally, or whatever his name is, seems to be, steamrolling in. Jeff Brown, so many things going on.
Yeah.
Give us some information. What do you think is going to happen at the EGM? Just a bit of clarification, because people have been asking that question quite a lot.
Yeah, and that's just one narrative that's been there for so long since Eddie left, and there's a lot of what ifs surrounding that. But look, I pretty much know what everyone else kind of knows. Look, I've said it from the start. At the start, I was very against. I still am very against the EGM. Thankfully, that's not happening. That's one way to disrupt the club, and we can see it. There was murmurs of Carlton fans kind of doing the same thing, and you just don't want to. You wouldn't wish that upon your worst enemy. Like, it just blows up. It just blows up a club, and then the Garboli starts talking about a whole spill and stuff like that. Look, I think that's what I didn't like the most, and I don't know if I've said this publicly yet, but what I didn't like the most about this whole thing was the way Brown and the EGM guys went about it. Look, you want a democracy? Cool, man. We could have voted the whole time. We could have voted, but Eddie went unopposed for 25 years, so
yeah,
you could vote this whole time anyway. Okay, so
yeah.
we'll get that out. You could have voted. What I didn't like was how Jeff Brown was like, yeah, I want to be president, but I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do or anything like that. If he had come out at the AGM and said, I want to be president, here's what I'm going to do, and put he probably would have had my vote over a quarter or something like that. It's on merit, but how it was set out at the start, and he was just waiting. That's what I did. That's what didn't strike me as having Collingwood's best interests at heart. What do I think will happen at the AGM? I think Brown will get on the board. I think that there's going to be there's 4 vacant seats, I think, at the moment.
4, yeah, 4.
So I think Brown and 1 or 2 of his guys will jump on the board. I don't think he'll be president. I think he will be on the board. And look, it's probably best for Collingwood that he is on the board, because he is such a powerful guy. And
he's an influential guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's huge. He's huge. I just don't like the way he went about it, but he is huge. He is a good. But I think maybe it's time for a woman president. I think maybe Holgate is a good shout.
I'd be absolutely for it. Absolutely for it. Like, as you said, for me, it was the exact same thing. And we speak about, being for AGMs, and obviously, a lot of people don't even know who I am. Couldn't give a stuff about who I am. But, before I started getting on, speaking about my opinions, being on YouTube, all those types of things, just speaking on Twitter, I was all for it, because I was thinking, I don't like what I'm seeing on the field. I don't like what I'm seeing off the field. How do we change it? And that was the only option that was given to me. So I was like, you know what? And it was probably a bit naive of me, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump on it and see what happens. And, I tweeted about it, and I followed people about it. And, and then eventually I started to see the other side of the argument and see that, maybe it's not as bad as we think it is. Maybe the solutions are a little bit less dramatic, for lack of a better word.
That's exactly what it is.
It's definitely not what the club needs. And the criticism that you've copped that has been so undeserved from who, the anonymous accounts, whatever you want to call them. It's all because, they think that people like yourself, people like myself, are just in the back pocket of these guys. That couldn't be further from the truth. We simply, well, I know I do, and I'm pretty sure you do too, because I know you very well. We just want what's best for Collingwood. And we
Yeah, of
want there
course.
to be stability at the club, give our team on the field the best opportunity to go and win a flag,
Yeah,
go and win our 16th premiership. That's all we want.
yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of it stemmed from, and I'll talk about what ifs before. What if Eddie came out and he didn't say that it was a proud day for Collingwood and he was still president? He would have spent this year looking for a president. Would that have
Yeah,
been Jeff Brown? Would that have been Holt? Look, we'll never know. But you as long as we got the best intent, as long as the people elected have the best Collingwood intentions, that's the way to go about it. And look, Corder hasn't been anyone after Eddie was going to be a fall guy anyway. They were just jumping on the Eddie.
absolutely.
They were just jumping on the Eddie grenade, biding the time until the next president almost come. And some of the appointments like Bridie and I think his name's Alex Witzel. I think that's the guy, the old dude.
Mm-hmm.
How they went about getting on the board through not back channels, but the membership. The whole rhetoric.
Yeah.
But do I think that Bridie was a perfect person to be on the board? Yeah, man. Like so much qualifications. She's a doctor. Licker spoke highly of her in that interview.
Yeah, I loved what Lick had to say about her.
Yeah. And what these people don't see, like these anonymous accounts and people that are like, bring Eddie back. Quarter's no good. What they don't see is, Quarter was head of financial. He stuffed up our salary cap. And then you listen to Licker, and that's what I was thinking as well. Then you listen to Licker and he goes, Quarter did financial stuff outside of the club. So getting rid of our pokies, bringing more sponsors in and doing this sort of stuff. The board doesn't have or didn't have control of these salary cap issues, salary cap contracts and stuff like that. Like, we don't see that. And the media won't report that. And then that's how it starts fire.
It's Collingwood clicks, mate. That's the thing. Like, Collingwood gets clicks, and negative media is always going to be more attractive for opposition fans as well as Collingwood fans. It's just natural. We all know that. Speaking of which, that chat with Licker, and it's good to bring it up. Like, I loved what he had to say about, we did make mistakes. We drop our ego. We move forward. Obviously we had our big debacle with Treloar and Phillips and whatnot last year, and hopefully, and Licker did mention this, it'll allow us to secure the likes of DeGoey, the likes of Moore, these guys who are 24, 25 and going to take us into the future. Like, and even the stuff about DeGoey and Moore, like, look at how negative it's all been. It's like Collingwood are losing them. Like, there doesn't seem to be any other option from the media. Like, that's what they're telling us. So naturally people are going to believe it.
Yeah, 100%.
And like, I don't know.
It's kind of like, look, and we'll move on soon, but like,
absolutely,
it's kind of like how Trump ran his presidential campaign, just with fear mongering. That's literally all it is, and that's what the media is doing. And Mick Warner does it a lot because he's the only one writing articles and giving these people voices to destabilize the club. It's just fear mongering, and then the most fearful are the ones that are the most are the ones that speak the most. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's these anonymous accounts. It's these other people that are like just causing this. It's just a snowball effect. And the quicker that we can get to this December AGM, I don't care. I don't care who is president anymore. Just fucking, I'm done. I just copped so much abuse this year. I'm done.
It's been ridiculous, man. Done. It's been ridiculous. It's been bad. Like, and you can't. I don't know, man. It's just it's been a bit of a shit show, to be honest. Like, this year, but that's why we can be so excited about next year. Like, Trey Rusco's just signed a new deal. Jack Ginnivan's on a new deal. We have the best kid in the country coming in.
Yep.
Which leads very well, I think, into our next topic. What are your expectations for 2022 for the Collingwood Football Club?
I don't think we're going to have a huge. I don't think we're going to have a huge renaissance like 17 to 18, but I think we will come on in leaps and bounds. I think top 8 or just scraping the 8 is very, very optimistic. But realistically, I think anywhere between 10th and 14th is a bit of a win, because we've still got a really good list when you look at it. They just weren't played to the best of their ability. And towards the end of the season, they're like, why would we even bother playing? We don't know a coach, don't know any of this. So their heads start to drop. But like, my heart says 8th, but my head says probably 12th.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm leaning towards as well. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we start really slow. I think it's going to go either one or two ways. We'll start slow and then pick it up towards the back end, or we'll start like a house on fire and then we'll fall off a little bit towards the end. We got a lot of young guys there, and I think that's kind of what happened with them. We noticed the Poulters, the Ollie Henrys. They can't. It's hard for these guys to have consistent form.
Yeah.
And that's just comes with being young. These guys are in their first years. But you just got to be as positive as you can and hope that we can get 23 games into Nick Dacos. Hopefully he can play every game next year. I'd love to see that. 23 games into your Ollie Henrys, your McRae's. Like, it's so, and like, you get so excited about it, because I link it back to that 2010 team and 2011 team, how young our squad was. Sharad Wellingham, Dale Thomas. You can list them off, like guys that came through. I remember how good Brad Dick was when he was really young. Yep. We've got a good record of developing young players. So, even if, 3 of our draft crop last season turned into absolute gems, that's a win for me.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a win. Like, we're looking like in, the next 5 years we can challenge. And that's all I want. That's all I want.
Well, look at Melbourne. 2017,
I know.
2018, they played off in a prelim, got smashed by the Eagles, went down to 17th the next season, I think. And now they just run a grand final. Look, I'm not saying that that's a fairy tale that everyone who finished the 17th wants to see, but their list really hasn't changed much since that 2018 drubbing. They brought in a couple of good kids, and they got Jackson and Pickett and stuff like that. But there's no way that we can't be the next Melbourne if we really wanted to be. And I think McRae, Leper, and Bolton give us that chance to max out our potential. And like you said, if Poulter, Dacos, Ollie Henry, even Josh Dacos, and these sort of guys, McCreary, Ginnivan, they get a bunch of games into them. Yeah. Like I said, we've got a really, really good list. They just weren't used to their full potential, and it's sad almost. Like, but we still got Pendles, we still got Sidebone, we still got these guys. So if we're not challenging in the next few years,
but you're going to think in a couple of years' time as well, with your Maynards, your DeGoeys, your Moores, they're going to be at 28. They're going to be the guys that are ready to take on a game by themselves. That's the exciting thing. And I just want us to do everything we possibly can to hold on to this group and hold on to this list, because the sky's honestly the limit. Like, we're such a powerhouse of a club. And we did take the L last year. Absolutely, we took the L. We took the L this season. It wasn't fun, but at the same time, we saw promise. We saw, a lot of things to be positive and happy about. And I think McRae is the man that can sell a project to anyone. Like, look at Pat Lipinski. He could have stayed at the Dogs on a 3-year contract. He's locked away. He's at a club that's probably in a better state. He'll probably get footy eventually. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be guys that may, move on or whatever. And he's chosen to come to Collingwood.
Yep.
Now, what do we put that down to? It's going to be the coaches that have sold it to him.
Yeah, 100%. And the same thing with Maynard. He wanted to stick around to see who was our coach and he'd make his decision on his contract. And he's like, yeah, man, I love McRae. And the way McRae goes about it, we had a chat about it. He said that he spent an hour with every single player and staff member. Like, oh, look, every coach probably does that, but you don't hear it. And hearing that is just, it just fills you up with a little bit of hope that this guy, and I'm not saying Buckley didn't care because he bled for this club, but an outsider absolutely cares about this club, and he has a vision, and we're going to see his full vision to full potential, hopefully.
Absolutely. And then, he's got Lepper over, who, said he didn't want to necessarily come back to the game so quickly, and he's already back. Bolton, who's just got the job at Hawthorn. He had a very senior role there, and now he's come straight across. Like, that surprised me as well. So maybe he sees more in our project than he does with Hawthorn and Sam Mitchell. And then we have McRae, who we've spoken about many a times. 47 years of age, looks like he just turned 48 actually. Looks like he's finally ready to make that step up and be the senior coach. And I love his temperament. I love the way he goes about it. I feel like he seems really calm, but I know if things are going wrong, you can see it already. He's going to give him a spray.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's gives me very strong Malthouse vibes in terms of his relationships. And I feel like he's just going to know how to deal with every single player. So it's really exciting.
And one thing, the first time I talked to Paul Curie, the one thing he told me about coaching, and I think he came out and said this in an article, whatever. He wanted a beverage type who was very emotional, very in tune with the players. And you're right. I think that's what McRae is. That sort of type of player that can, coach that can ride off the emotions of players. And look what it did to the Bulldogs. 2 grand finals in 6
years. Yeah, insane. Lukey, we've been going for almost an hour. I don't want to hold you for too much of your time on a Wednesday night, mate. But it's honestly been incredible having a chat with you. Before we sign off, I want to thank you, of course, for being an inspiration to me, to get myself going and, give something a crack, give something a whirl. You're an incredible guy. If you don't know who Swoop Luke is and you've come across the podcast, please do follow him on all his socials. He's an absolute legend of a dude. He gives up so much of his time to speak to people. He's always cooking and stuff on Twitter. He's providing the content for so many people. Just an amazing guy all around. And, thanks, mate, for coming on. I really appreciate it for the very first episode. And I'm sure we'll be doing heaps of stuff together in the future as well.
Yeah, no, look, Lachie, thank you. Thank you for having me on and giving me it feels weird to be on the other side of a screen, having questions asked to me after doing it for so long. But thank you for giving me the opportunity. And man, we came, like we said, we came together on Twitter. We still haven't met each other, but man, I'm really proud of this, and it's just diving into the deep end, bro. And you'll learn to navigate the waters, and you'll learn to swim. And I'm gonna enjoy watching you grow alongside me, brother.
Absolutely, mate. All right, well, I'm keen for that keen for that beer at the footy next year. And I'm sure we'll be meeting up with heaps of people as well that we've come across on the journey, man. But, thank you guys for tuning in to the very first episode of the Analytical Pie Podcast. It's been absolutely amazing. It'll be uploaded to Spotify, uploaded to Apple Podcasts, and, of course, available here on YouTube. Like, subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much, guys, for coming by. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Peace.